Aloha. How's everybody doing today? I am setting up all of the streaming. Give me a moment. Well, it is June 6th, 2:30 Hawaii time, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8:30 Eastern time. I am hoping everybody is having a good day. Lots of exciting things happening with Roaring Kitty. I just looked at his live stream that he has posted up. It's going to happen tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern time. He has 13,000 people already signed up to watch tomorrow. So we don't have that many signs up, but we'll get there one day, guys. So all of those who are coming into the room, thanks for being here. I'm glad you're here. I'm excited to work with you today. Hi, Tina. Happy Disciple Day. What do you mean by that? You'll have to explain. I am very curious, but that it's good to have you here, Tina. So, Tina, I'm excited definitely to tell you, but everybody who's here, I think I'm going to mix it up. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to be done today, but what I'm going to start to do is take in a volunteer or two to coach that person one on one. So, of course, it's done in a public forum, but I wanted to kind of have more interaction. So, discipline. Yeah, I wondered if you meant discipline, Tina. So, I'm glad I asked you for clarity. Yes, happy Discipline Day to you too. So, Tina, if you want to volunteer, you've been here since I started these, think about it, see if you want to have some coaching. And then what will happen is I will send a link for you to come into the room. And then obviously, you will be in front of the audience. But I thought instead of just coaching everybody through the chat box, I would open up a couple of seats. Yeah, each week. So those who are regulars that may want to do it, let me know. And then, of course, it's going to be open up to people that are not regulars eventually. But I'm going to try to make room for those who have been coming, since I started this a few months ago. So good. So yeah, Tina. So the thing is, I have to invite you. The question is, let's see here. I am trying to think of how I get this to you, Tina, because there's a special link that you have to click in on. And I would rather not list that in the restream just in case, other people click on it too. And that keeps you from being able to get in. So I'm thinking, Tina, if you can send me right now, perhaps a DM in X, then I could send you this link and we could just, see if it can work today. If it doesn't work today, then we'll be sure to get you here for next week. So let me know if you're in a position to go on X and send me a DM. And then my messages are open on there. So you can definitely get that through. And then I can respond with the link you'll click. You can't now. That's okay. That's okay. So keep it in mind for next time. And let's just make sure, we get this link to you prior. So you just reach out to me before the next one, Tina. And then if there is anybody right now who does want to volunteer today, again, I can't guarantee it's going to work. It's my first time. But Kurt, my trusty right-hand man with all things technology, suggests that we can do it today. So we'll give it a shot. If anybody does want to raise their hand, come into this room, have that one-on-one coaching. It'll be a speed coaching experience, guys. It'll be a fast coaching experience because I want to try to get this be able to give this to as many people as possible. So I'm not going to do an hour session with anybody, but like 15, 20 minutes. So good. Next week it is, Tina. Looking forward to having you join me. So curious, what usually our standard format here for those who are new is that I will talk on a topic that I you know, believe you guys are wrestling with a topic, usually it's surrounded around my 5 practices, the 5 practices I advocate to my clients, the 5 practices I try to practice myself as well. And then, obviously, throughout the whole thing, at any point, if you guys have questions or you're wrestling with a issue, whether it's FOMO, whether it's not sticking to your strategy, whether it's a feeling of greed, whether it's a feeling of fear, whatever it is you're dealing with, just put the challenge you're facing in the chat box, and then I can just riff on it and try to coach you through it. But as I said, I'm going to start having volunteers uh, come into the room because I want to be a contribution. And I think sometimes it's hard to coach people just by chat, right? It's always better to have somebody interactive with whatever it is they're dealing with. So, yeah, if you want to do today, then my request is first you let me know here that you would like to volunteer to have some one-on-one coaching. Again, it'll be like a 10-15 minute conversation, but we'll be able to drill down specifically on the issue you're bringing to the table. Who am I? For those who don't know, Kim Van Curtin, the Wall Street coach. I have been an executive coach and a trading coach for the past, 18 years. It's been a while. I began my coaching practice because I hired a coach. I had a transformational experience. That coach was a coactive coach. That's style of curriculum that now I am. So after I experienced that with her, it was so transformative. I really felt called to do it myself. I worked in finance before that at the C-suite level. I was at King Street Capital. It's one of the largest hedge funds in the world still. And that was, I loved having to be very strategic there, but this is what I knew I was being called to do. So, that's 27 years now in the world of finance. I started out in banking, community banking was a trade association I was part of. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. Ultimately, what this is a forum for me to try to give back to the community. I have a lot of respect for traders. I know how hard it is, especially to trade your own account. I think it's very lonely. I think it's asking tremendous discipline. I think there's a lot of hurdles and potholes you guys are up against. I do see traders very similar to what entrepreneurs go through, right? Having my own business for 18 years, like it's hard. It's a roller coaster. You're up, you're down, you're over, you're out. Like it's a lot to handle. And a lot of what I see traders go through, is similar. So I felt really kind of called to kind of put more of a focus here in the last handful of years. And I also had been on a very popular trading podcast and then started my own. So if you haven't watched any of my podcasts, I would recommend you do, because a lot of them speak to the highs and lows and basic and complex challenges that traders go through. So sometimes I have on experts who speak about the tools that I advocate. Sometimes I have traders on who talk about their highs and lows, how they navigated them. And sometimes I will bring people on that I feel are experts in personal development so that you can have as much exposure to the different tools, books, practices that can up-level you as a person, but also up-level you, obviously, as a trader. What my mindset and when I try to enroll traders in how they approach the market is to not see the market as the enemy, but to see the market as your personal Yoda, your personal, consciousness. Angel, so to speak, because the market is going to consistently put in front of you the places or situations or challenges or opportunities that you are ready to have. I do feel we're all here to be up leveled in some way or another. So I want you guys to all be thinking like, wow, how can I become more conscious? How can I become more aware? How can I become more awake? And what the market does, as far as I'm concerned, is all the places you haven't yet done enough work, or all the places you self sabotage, the market's going to sniff that out on you very quickly, put that in front of you. And if you don't have the tools to handle it, you could be certainly not in a good way. So my key is start to look at what the lessons are that the market keeps trying to teach you. Don't resist the lessons, embrace the lessons, because it is up leveling you, even though it may feel like the enemy sometimes. What if it really is a very benevolent force that is trying to get you out of your own way, not just in your trading, but in your life? All right, Shane, how the hell are you? I'm glad you're here. All right, what do you say here? Speaking of Roaring Kitty, what do you think about that article about his broker closing his account for market manipulation? Look, I'm not a financial advisor, guys. This is just my opinion. Obviously, these conversations are for entertainment purposes only. But I find that to be very hard to understand how they could possibly say that this guy is, market manipulation. Like, there's a lot of market makers that do manipulation, but Rory Kitty is now is a market maker, like, the most public market maker there ever was. I just don't think that was cool. But I think it's he's shaking up a very you know set in their ways industry, right? He is causing so much disruption. Whether you like him or you don't, like, that kid is disrupting an industry that has been closed off to a lot of people for a long time. And so, I'm kind of like, how do you call it what this guy's doing? Memes? Like, he puts up memes and you're telling us that's a market manipulation. Like, it doesn't even make sense. So anyway, all right, Whiz Bang Trading, good to have you here. I'm glad to see you. I've never seen you here before. The market's being ignited by recent social media influence and is becoming reminiscent of the 2020 COVID boom. Yes, you are correct. If not bigger, I would actually suggest, I suspect it could be bigger, because all those traders that came in during the COVID boom, no doubt some are washed away, but I think the net has already grown just since then. So how do you advise traders to keep their head and manage their emotional state? Such a great question. Thank you for it, Whiz Bang. It's very difficult to do that, especially under these circumstances. We have the social disruption at the same time as a major real disruption from AI. Excellent point. How do we manage risk and emotional state in this time of duality? Great question. The way you word that tells me so much about you. At the end of the day, what I try to suggest to people, traders specifically, is to not so much look at this from the landscape of you as a trader. What I always will suggest is, how do you as a person handle great disruption, great volatility? How do you stay even keeled in the face of adversity, in the face of confusion or the unknowns, right? So I always think it's better to come at that from this angle, because every trader is first a human being. And I think the key is to, tune in to what and how you have handled adversity in your life previously. Now, when you look back at that, it could be that you are aware you didn't handle it as well as perhaps you could have. Or you look back and say, wow, yeah, that particular unexpected challenge, like being fired or having, again, a health issue or any kind of curveball, what did you lean into? What kept you anchored? What assisted you, nourished you, kept you in a way that could withstand the wind of that storm? often there is one or two or three things in our memory bank that we're like, oh, yeah, yeah, I really leaned in on my good friends during that time, and they were really there for me. Or I remember that I really had a couple of practices of walking outdoors every day or going to the gym and punching out my frustrations. Look back at times in your life when you've had adversity, when you've had challenges, when you had total disruption. What did you do that worked for you? Right? Each of us are so different. What will work for me might be very different than what will work for you, Whiz Bang. The key is what worked in the past, and then Whiz Bang. I think that's a very powerful technique, mowing the lawn. Let me say this about mowing the lawn. What's happening anytime we walk, anytime we're in nature, right? You are going to naturally be putting yourself into kind of like a low grade EMDR situation. EMDR, if you guys don't know, is a technique and a practice that facilitates people who have hard to be with memories, traumas that are having it repeat, repeat, repeat. I had one of those from my childhood. I myself had a very volatile childhood and young adulthood, really till I was about 36 years old. I had a very, very unhealthy, very disruption filled life because of a whole bunch of reasons that I'm not going to get into now. But one particular memory that I had when I was 8 years old sort of was on a loop, a repeat. I couldn't kind of get myself unhooked from it, even though I have a lot of practices that I share with you guys that really work. This was one of those really deep wounds. And I did EMDR for it. And one session, guys, it was gone. Now, I'm not saying I don't have the memory anymore. I do, but I'm not triggered by that memory. Hello, Mohammed. I'm so glad you're here. Good to have you. So, Whizbang, what I wanted to say to you is one of the things they discovered is that when we walk in nature, when we are especially on uneven ground, right? Not that we can't get it on a sidewalk, but it's more pronounced if we're in the forest or on a lawn, right? Because it's going to be all different kinds of the ground is going to be different levels. What happens is we do have to, because how does EMDR work? Part of how it works is that it's allowing the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of brain to process, right? When you're with an EMDR practitioner, what's happening is you're kind of like taking a pen or a pointer of some sort, and you're telling the story over, and they are moving the pen or the pointer back and forth. So you are having your left and right hemisphere engaged as you retell that traumatic story or traumatic memory. And it is allowing your physiology, your body, mind, soul to finish the sequence, so to speak. And that's part of what Dr. Peter Levine talks about in his book. Okay, Whizbang says, totally on point. I find that mowing law will transition me to a different state of mind, allow me to reset. Absolutely. It's absolutely doing that, Whizbang. So keep it up. Maybe you're offering to mow a couple of lawns in the neighborhood just to get your therapy in for the day. It's a great technique. I hope other people listening here consider it. I just want to get a book here, guys, off my shelf because I want to just finish talking about this. So especially to you, Whizbang, this is one of the books I would highly recommend you consider. It's probably reversed, but anyway, it's called Waking the Tiger, Healing Trauma, and this is by Peter Levine. I read this book, 15, 17, 18 years ago. Changed my life, completely changed my life. Now, the reason I specifically want to talk about this book, I had a neighbor ask me why I was mowing the yard. Again, the day after I mowed it. Yeah, you just tell him, it's my therapy, man. It's my therapy. Back off, motherfucker. That is what I need to do to cope with these crazy ass times we live in. And if you want me to come mow your lawn, I'm happy to. And I will give you a different land, right? Because you probably, after a while, will know where the pivots and bumps are on your property. So now it gives you a little adventure someplace else. All right, so here's what I want to say about your point because it's so good. Was bang is this concept of disruption, of this constant, volatility, right? It, I want to just say that if you or anybody listening finds that incredibly taxing, okay? There's this understandable normal level of taxing. But if you feel you're really being triggered, right? If you feel like, God, this is just killing me, I'm feeling really depleted, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I just want to say, first of all, that likely is because there is old trauma that you have yet to heal. If our childhood and we experience a great deal of volatility, a great deal of uncertainty, a great deal of instability, and that can happen, guys, in a mansion, right? If you don't have caretakers that are attuning to your needs, if you don't have caretakers that care or can afford to care, and when I say afford, I mean with their heart, with their time, attention. If you have parents that are sick, if you have parents that had mental illness, if you have parents that were struggling through a divorce, if you had parents that were going through something you had never even learned about, their ability to tune into you, to give you support, to be an anchor, may not have been possible for them. But every child needs that. And without it, we find ways to cope because we're so incredibly adept. But if that trauma hasn't had a chance to heal, if you haven't been able to do deep work with therapists, with a coach, with EMDR, then you've got to realize being in an environment like this is going to re-trigger, repress a whole bunch of old patterns, old fears that perhaps so far you've been able to keep up on a shelf or keep at bay. So don't panic, but just give yourself some empathy like, oh, right, I never really did address XYZ from my childhood. And that probably now is getting kind of reawakened or re triggered in some way. The other thing that I wanted to speak to, I don't know if I have this book with me, do I? Let me just check my bag because I'm always carting my books around. I don't have it on me, but it's a book. I just posted it actually earlier this week, so I have a picture of it on my phone just so that I can get the exact title for you guys. I highly recommend this book. This is a book that is going to also, and you can get, it's a small assessment, an inexpensive assessment called the ACTS assessment. So the book is called The Deepest Well. Here, I'll just hold up my phone so you guys can see it. Healing the long-term effects of childhood trauma and adversity. Again, it's backwards. Maybe this picture, I can reverse it. Let's see, edit. How do I do that, guys? Can I do it? There we go. Okay, so hopefully that'll work. Okay, so get that book. Inside that book, what basically this book does, this is the woman, her name is Nadine Burke Harris, and she, I don't think she invented the entire thing, but she definitely contributed to it. Burke Harris. Let me just get the exact name, guys, so I don't butcher it. So she created this assessment, which ACE, it's called ACE, not ACT, ACE. You could just Google it. You probably could take it online, but it's definitely at the back of her book. So basically what her book speaks to, and what, for all of those who are getting maybe triggered in the midst of all this crazy volatility, basically she was able to link adverse childhood experiences and the toxic stress that comes with that, with harmful effects to health in later life. So basically, the ACE, I think there's 10 questions, very simple questions, asking if you had an alcoholic parent, that you grew up with, asking if your parents got divorced while you were a kid, right? A bunch of questions, and basically, with any score, six or more are then able to keep track of that, which she's a medical doctor, but because she worked in a very rough neighborhood, she was seeing a whole bunch of health issues in children, but they all were in the middle, a lot of them in a very challenging environment. But what she realized is that very infrequently does our medical, institutions take into account that kind of trauma, and yet it is undoubtedly affecting our health, right? If we are coming from a trauma background, and especially if we haven't done any work to heal some of those wounds, those who have a higher ACE score are potentially in more jeopardy, have to be even more careful and diligent with their health. So, anyway, all right. Well, first, let me see what you said, Tom, because I was going off on a riff there. Tom says, I'm sure my neighbors are looking out the window saying, there he goes again. So, Tom, are you also a frequent lawn mower? You and Whiz-Bang Trading should exchange lawn mowing notes. All right. So, Whiz-Bang says, they are most likely wondering why, how the heck is he out mowing the lawn again at 11 a.m.? I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. They're probably like, wow, this guy is disciplined. He wants his lawn to be like the military precision. That's awesome. I love that. That's what you're doing. And I think that's also, I just want to say that it's so funny, Tom, that you do the same thing. You guys are way ahead of your time. But I just want to say, like, how fantastic, right? You, Tom, you whiz bang, like our bodies are such geniuses, right? Like both of you guys didn't like understand the science behind it, but like you said before, whiz bang, you felt like a reset that mowing the lawn gave you, right? And Tom, whatever, you were noticing that is we are we don't give ourselves enough credit, guys. We do know what feels good. We do know what feels healthy. We do know what we need. The challenge is Madison Avenue, advertisers, pharmaceutical companies, alcohol, alcohol companies, cigarettes, pot, all of it. What are they telling us all the time? They are selling us, even a lot of Western medicine, that we don't know what we need, that we don't or can't listen to what our body intuitively knows we need to do. Like, when you need to get up from your desk and stretch it out, right? How many times do you listen, right? So this is the key. I do believe most of us have an intuitive knowing. We are, if we're listening, being driven by an innate wisdom in our bodies, in our physiology, in our approach to things. But I think what's happened in this very modern world is that we've sort of, lost our autonomy, right? There's a time and a place for Western medicine. I'm not demonizing it at all. But, just from my own experience, and I've shared this, here with some of you before, there was a particular procedure I was being advised to do. And, unfortunately, I went to 3 doctors because my intuition, my literal body was saying, don't do this. But I was scared. I had 3 different doctors say I needed to do it, but I couldn't ignore my internal knowing. Was I afraid that I was wrong? Of course I was. And I could have been, right? But I listened to that voice and got myself, it was involving an x ray. And so I was in New York City at the time. And what did I do? I found the leading authority of radiologists in New York City because I thought, okay, I've just had 3 doctors see to do it, but these are doctors that are not radiologists. This is not what they do for a living. So I'm going to find the best radiologist, you know, period. And let's see, what does he say? Well, so he was hard to get into. No big surprise. This is the case with all doctors, but especially for the best radiologists in New York City. And so I got to his office with my x-rays. I didn't have an appointment because it was like a 3-month wait to get in front of this guy. And so I went to his office, got there. It was attached to a hospital. So amazingly, it was open very early. I was there at 5 minutes to 7. I got there at 6:55. It opened up at 7. And of course, there was going to be a gatekeeper. There's always a gatekeeper. And that gatekeeper, his secretary, do you know what I brought for her? I brought a bouquet of flowers and some Snapple iced tea. And for Dr. Joshua Gross, who I'm pretty sure now has retired, I brought him a lox and bagel, and I think I brought him a Snapple too, and my x-rays. So I came with some gifts, right? But add up those gifts, guys. How much was that costing me? Nothing, right? I said to this assistant secretary, I said, look, I'm asking for a very unusual thing today. So here's some flowers for your trouble. I am supposed to be doing a medical procedure today, but I'm not doing it because I don't think I need it. And I don't have any evidence except for my body saying this is not for me. But I really would ask you, is there any way he could just look at this x-rays? What does he see? That's all I'm asking for. I know he's backed up. I know he's busy. I'll wait as long as I need to. But would you be willing to see if he'd be considering it? And here's a big little box for his trouble. She thought I was crazy, but she was so happy to get this big bouquet of flowers. So she was like, when you give somebody, sometimes they feel a little obligated to you in return. Can I tell you, that was 7 a.m. that morning. In 3 hours, guys, 3 hours. Dr. Joshua Gross called me on the phone. And do you know what he said? He said, your x-rays aren't even in focus. What? He's like, how about we just get you some in focus x-rays? He was like, 3 doctors told you to do this procedure based on an out of focus x-ray? I was like, yes. He was like, let's just get a proper x-ray before that decision even gets made. In the end, guys, I'm very fortunate to report I did not need the procedure, right? And look, I'm not saying that that's going to be everybody's outcome, but I didn't surrender the authority, my own autonomy. Now, I had a lot of friends upset with me, especially one particular girl who I worked with who had she had to go another way. So she was upset at me because she thought I was putting myself at risk by delaying a procedure that could potentially help me. But I was like, I got to listen to me. But I was tuned into my body, right? I haven't been my whole life. That's part of why I do this work, guys, because I haven't been tuned into my body. But that was the start, of me beginning to pay attention to what my body is asking for, what it needs. So maybe that's the lesson today, thanks to you, Whiz Bang, and you too, Tom. The lesson is listen, pause, tune into yourself. We're such intellectual thinking people that we forget there's this other part of ourselves. We have to get these two back together. They have to be in harmony. There is a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere for a reason, right? So we have to really pay attention, not at the 11th hour, like under the situation I was going through. Had I not already started working on self-awareness, I probably just would have gone and done the damn procedure because I would have been just so bullied by these experts, by these smart people, right? People with that lab coat walk in, there's a certain feeling of I gotta listen to these people, but you can't ever surrender that autonomy. And the same goes for you guys, new traders in this room. It's like, what the hell is she talking about? How does this have anything to do with trading? But it does, right? Because you could be one day in a Discord room with a person who's advising you, and they could be telling you, hopefully most of them don't tell you what to do. They just tell you what they're going to do and give you input about how to respond in different environments. But we all know that there's plenty of times where traders are influenced by what other traders are doing, right? We're seeing that right now with Roaring Kitty, for God's sake. But you guys still have to be able to come back to center and tune into yourself. And again, that intuition, how it is trustworthy, like a lot of traders struggle with, like, can I trust my intuition? Can I not? Look, intuition is birthed from experience. Intuition is not just pulling something out of the air, right? I had experience with my body because I had begun to pay attention to it. Traders, you need to earn the screen time, earn the repetitions, earn the wisdom. But all of that work over time is going to be physically felt in your body as a hit, as a knowing, as a, yeah, something says this, not that. You have to heighten that. And one thing I'll say before I read what you have to say here, there's a couple of comments. I haven't read them yet, guys. Give me a second. And remember, if anybody wants to put a comment that they want coaching up, please just put that in the chat box, or you can sign up and tell me you want to volunteer, and I'll bring you into the room and we can go one-on-one. But the one thing I want to point you towards is, if you go to the Wall Street Coach podcast on YouTube, it's on iTunes as well. It's on all the platforms, wherever podcasts are. But if you go and listen to my interview with Jason Apollo-Foss, and his book here is also on my bookshelf. Great interview about intuition, what to listen for, how to tap into it. And why I love that Jason is an expert on this is because you'll hear Jason, he is a genius. This guy is the most analytical, smart, one of the smartest people I know. And yet he is completely tuned in to his intuition. So this is his book. It's backwards again. The Intuitive Investor, a Radical Guide for Manifesting Wealth. In one of his meditations, years before the 2008 crisis, he got a hit. 4 years earlier, he got a hit, an epiphany that there was going to be a near collapse. Okay, in a meditation. That's how honed his intuition is, guys. So I'll pause there, but I just want you guys to realize, like, okay. And the other thing I just realized is I didn't thank our sponsor, Centerpoint, for sponsoring this live. I wouldn't be able to do it without their support. I'm going to send everybody right now in this restream a link for you guys to check them out. This offers you 60 days of no commissions. Please use it. Please tell them that I sent you. They're amazing people. Their customer service is next level, guys. They give a damn about you. And I really love them. And I think they're amazing for traders. And the traders that I've worked with that work with them love them too. So check them out. Go Centerpoint. Go Centerpoint. Are you, girl trader? I'm so glad you're with Centerpoint. Were you already with them a long time ago? I'm just so glad that you are. All right, let's see. Thank you, Whiz Bang, for spelling the name correctly. All right, let me see these comments I missed while I was tooting all these little things. All right, Shane, you say, I had a similar experience recently with my arm. Doc thought it was my elbow. Went to physical therapy. The PT found it was coming from my neck, not my elbow at all. Shane, I'm sorry you went through that. And I'm really proud of you that you stayed true, I hope, to yourself, that maybe the elbow itself wasn't the issue, right? These are the moments, guys. These are going to be the moments. And like, if we come back to where this whole conversation started, it was prompted by Whiz Bang saying, like, how do we deal with all this volatility? Like, we're going to have, life is volatile, guys, right? whether it's AI. What was it in when we were to become the year 2000? Computers had just started and they thought Y2K. You guys probably don't remember that because you're probably too young. Y2K. Everybody thought everybody's computers were going to shut down. Like there's going to always be something. I'm not saying it doesn't feel like it's speeding up. I'm not saying AI is a different beast. It is, but life is uncertain. This is part of its nature. So we have to adapt. We have to be able to be on our toes and we can't be too attached. All of these are the sacred wisdom practices and wisdom. All the greatest teachers that ever have been telling us for thousands of years. So let's listen. Let's just listen. Okay, life is volatile. Let me get some tools to handle this. And you start with where you are. You start with where you begin. First, have empathy. Jesus, a lot to be with at once. It is. Lower the volume on your social media exposure. Lower the volume on your exposure to the news. I haven't had a television set for 25 years, guys. That alone will make a huge difference. Get rid of the TVs. Get rid of the after hours exposure to social media. We're not built to take in this much data. Okay. You guys are traders. You've taken a lot of data as well. Don't keep taking in data after hours. Part of what you got to realize is that our brain doesn't read Instagram or TikTok as rest, it reads it as work. Cognitively, we're all burning ourselves out. All right, I have to answer some of these questions. All right, so Girl Trader says, I was just telling someone about what I've learned from you about self-awareness and trading each one. I'm so glad, Girl Trader. That makes my day. Thank you for telling me. Makes my heart happy. All right, with Bank Trader, I strongly believe that health and profit are not mutually exclusive. Absolutely not. Definitely not. I'm 100% with you there. Do you know me, Kim? Hot seat in IU. Oh, that's right, Girl Trader. I remember you now because you're Dev DV8 girl. I remember you now. You were in there last one. I was in there. I do Sam Pryor, Turbo Sam on X. He has Investors Underground. He does a midweek study session, and I come and visit his room once a month. Last Wednesday of the month, I think I do. I got that right, Girl Trader. You tell me. All right, so let's see. Look at that. Was Bank Trading is in there too. So you know. Uh, it's so good. It's so good. All right. All right. Turbo Trader is the man. He's so great. Sam is so great. And so on that topic with Bank Trader about like health and everything, I'm in the middle of a conversation with somebody that I'm very excited about, that's specific to health. And I'm laying a lot of books on you guys today. I'm not quite sure what, but one book too, especially if you agree that health is connected to success as a trader, I would strongly recommend. Do I have that book here? I do. I'm all on my shelf today. Usually half of them are home and some of them are on my shelf. It's this book called The Hour Between Dog and Wolf. This is by Dr. John Coates. This is I got this book a long time ago. The subtitle, I think they changed it, but this subtitle is Risk Taking, Gut Feelings, and the Biology of Boom and Bust. This book is so powerful. Read this book, guys, because it's going to help you, for those who are traders, even for those who aren't traders, it's going to help you understand that, your hormone levels, your cortisol, your testosterone, like all of these things are going to influence you as a trader, because we are physiological beings, right? When we feel like we've had a great loss, it is going to affect us physiologically. And of course, that is going to impact how we see the next thing. We are going, no, that's not going to work, because you've been primed to think, oh my God, nothing's going to work. This is why traders overtrade sometimes when there's success. When you have a success, why do we have this, I'm invincible? Physiologically, you have just been given a cocktail after a huge win where you do feel invincible, right? But if you, again, aren't connected to your body, aren't connected to the fact that your body is going to be always having these kind of different experiences, then you can't observe yourself neutrally and not get hijacked by them. Emotions aren't the enemies, guys, at all. Emotions are part of being human. The key is to notice when they are starting to hijack your actions, right? Emotions are not the enemy. It's the actions you potentially take in the throes of those emotions that are where the cost comes. All right. Great book. Good. Yes, of course I know The Body Keeps the Score, Girl Trader. It's an excellent book. Everybody should read it. There's so many. I would read also what's Gabor Mate's new book, The Myth of Normal. That book is also amazing. Mark Wallman's book, It Didn't Start With You. That is an excellent book as well. We are all animals. Get over it. Exactly. You know, I think this is our ego, right? Our ego, our thinking mind likes to think, no, no, I'm not an animal. Like we've all evolved past that. No, we haven't. And honestly, I think that's good. I don't want to be a cyborg. I don't know about you. I want to be a human. Um, all right. So what here, Girl Trader says, it's been recommended to me 3 times. Nervous to read it. Not sure what it will unlock. I have to say, Girl Trader, I'm so happy you just said that, because I want to just acknowledge that being willing to read these books, being willing to do this work, right? The coaching work alone asks for so much courage, right? I mean, I'm getting emotional just by what you said. There's a reason all of us are potentially repeating costly behaviors. If you self sabotage, guys, there's a reason you self sabotage. Being mad at yourself, beating yourself up because you self sabotage is not going to help you, in spite of what you're being told on a bunch of different platforms about grinding it out. It doesn't work. Okay. It doesn't work long term. It doesn't heal you. I'm not saying there isn't a time and a place for discipline and pushing through discomfort, but just exactly what you're speaking about, Girl Trader, that nervousness is your system, likely your central nervous system, starting to go, ooh, I might have to start to be with some stuff that's hard to be with. So that concern, that nervousness is your body trying to protect you, right? It's trying to protect you from harm, from the discomfort of old memories, old feelings that maybe haven't been felt yet. So what do we do in the face of that, guys? This is where I differ from a lot of those different, guys out there who say just push through, just grind it out. Like, no, I don't think that works, because the system we all come with is built to protect this internal part of ourselves. So this is what I would recommend, Girl Trader. You give yourself a great deal of compassion for the fact that you're feeling nervous. You give your whole body, your heart, your mind permission to go, listen to this phrase, as slow as, as fast as the slowest part of you can go. Okay. As fast as the slowest part of you can go. I learned that from my coach of many years, Raphael Kushner. Raphael Kushner, he's somebody I've talked about a lot. There's interviews that I have had with him as well on YouTube. Listen to those. He taught me that for me to be able to be a feeler of the heart, to be with feelings, I was going to have to do that work one step at a time. So if you get that book, I want you to be willing to stop. Maybe you read 5 pages and you start to feel overwhelmed by it. you start to feel triggered, stop, wait. Maybe it's a day later, maybe it's a week later. I want you to listen to your capacity, the physiological capacity of being able to be with it. And if you're able to, try to get yourself somebody to hold, support, give you some encouragement as you dive into it. Definitely get a journal and start to write down whatever it brings up for you. But the key there, and I'm so glad you spoke to it, is all of us have a tendency to get very impatient with ourselves for the most part. Most people that I coach, rarely do I find people are like letting themselves off the hook. I never see that, guys. Maybe those people don't come to coaching, but most of the people, traders, executives, anybody that I work with, rarely are they not very hard on themselves, expecting so much so fast. Unusually, ridiculously expectations on themselves. So that's my suggestion to you, girl trader. Take it slow, respect yourself, listen to your body. Don't push and rush it. Go as fast as that slowest part of you can go. And what you will see is over time, your body will adapt. Your body will strengthen. You don't go to the gym, guys, and do 100 crunches. You start slow. You build up the resistance, the tolerance. Same is true for being with the heart to be with feelings. All right. I missed a lot of comments because I was on a little world there. All right. Whizbang Trading says, I'm curious to know your experience with fight versus flight traders. I'm such a fight by nature person. It's stupid. I have so many ridiculous stories about me going into 100% fight mode, including actually yelling at a bear, an actual bear, laughing my ass off. That is so funny. Was being trading. So what that tells me right out of the gate is that fighting likely kept you safe as a kid, right? None of the things that we do are by accident. We don't get them from what? Licking it off the wallpaper? No, there was environments, circumstances where fighting served you, probably kept you safe, kept you protected, allowed you. But you got to remember, for me, it was keeping my mouth shut. Right. So that kept me safe. So everybody's particular way of operating is birthed or built upon a situation in the past. The key is that, and this is spoken about in a really simple, clear way by Alice Miller. Her book is called The Drama of the Gifted Child. And what she talks about is that children are inherently gifted. We know that we cannot survive outside of our family of origin. We intuitively know that, like, animals can survive in the wild if they're lucky, right? We can't. So we adapt. The gift is that we're gifted as children. And so we say, oh, I see. If I'm confrontational, if I'm fighting, that's going to help me navigate this environment, especially if your caretakers are fighters. And that's the vibe in the household, right? Or the one who speaks up is the one who stays safe. Like for me, the one who stayed quiet stays safe. So I adapted into that kind of a person until I start to do the work on myself, until I start to have some healing, until I did my therapy and my coaching and all the work I had to do to unhook myself from old behaviors. And what I'd like to use as an analogy is the operating system of a phone, right? What do we get that? Those with iPhones, maybe Androids have to do it too. I don't know. But you get to update your operating system. And what happens if we don't, which I've been known to not, because I don't have time for it. You got a big backlog of a whole bunch of data that you got to it's going to take longer, potentially turns the phone into a brick, right? All of that is just like us. We have to upload a new operating system. So that's part of what Alice's book speaks to. The drama that we have in our childhood, we adapt to it, we navigate, we survive. Good on us, right? Pat yourself on the back. You were adaptable. You figured it out. You took up fighting so you could get through it. But here's the thing. That was then. This is now. So what saved your ass once probably is costing you now, right? So you have to update the operating system. It doesn't happen overnight. I wish it happened as quick as our iPhones, but it doesn't. So the key is, okay, that habit, that default setting, that way that I protect myself for likely decades is not serving me anymore. So that means you're going to have to rewire yourself. What does it? Coaching does it. I'm going to, unabashed plug, whether it's me or somebody else, do the work on yourself, read these books, take courses. I'm an advocate for the Landmark Forum. That is a 3-day course, super inexpensive, absolutely will shift your worldview in 3 days. Cheapest bang for your buck you'll ever find. Mankind Project, specific only to men. Go to that. It's summer. You can go. These are outdoor 3-day intensive weekends. It's going to flip you upside down. It's going to be uncomfortable. Hell yeah. But if you want to get yourself out of old, costly habits, guys, you're going to have to mix it up. So you're going to have to go out of your comfort zone if you want change. So these are some things. Talk to me. I've got lots of courses, lots of price points. We can find something that's going to help you. But that is how the fight mode can shift. All right. Hopefully that helps you, Whiz Bang. All right. Go get it. Do you have a list of books that you read and recommend, like the ones you just mentioned? I have the list in the back of my book, Transforming Wall Street. It's a huge bibliography. Go get it. I think your question is a great reminder that I probably should put that list together outside of my book. So I don't right now, but I will put it together, and give me a little bit of time, but follow up with me. And I think that's a great idea. And I am going to start having a PowerPoint for each of these weeks. I'm going to, each of these, live coachings, besides me wanting to bring in some volunteers from the audience to do it live, one-on-one, face-to-face, I also want to put, one of the team members is helping me. We're putting a PowerPoint together you guys can sign up for. And that book list would be a great addition to it. So thank you for the idea, Gogeta. But good Lord, anybody listens to me, every time I talk, I'm always telling you about 4 or 5 books because I'm a reader. That's what I do. Instead of watching the stupid boob tube, is I read. So, but I will put those together. I'm writing a note to myself for Gogeta to get that done, because it's a great idea. And those books, honestly, all the books that I speak of, guys, they changed my life. Like, books can change your life, if you let yourself really go into them, looking, seeking. They all have changed me. So, all right, let's see here. What do we got? Girl Trader, I'm probably going to need some serious therapy to once I start on that journey. So I take it seriously. Good. What is wrong with that? Nothing. Like, you want to learn a new language, you get you want to sing better, you get a vocal coach. Like, this is what it's about, guys. We're here to up level. We're here to get rid of all the things that are holding us back. And there's nothing wrong with having therapy. There's nothing wrong with having coaching, Girl Trader. Like, you want to let go of some costly behaviors you got. If you had challenges in that youth or in your young adulthood, like everybody has this, but very few people get the work done on themselves to transcend it. And I don't understand why. Like, I don't know. Everybody's different, but I'm the kind of person, I would much rather be in the truth than comfortable. Some people rather be comfortable. That's okay. That's their journey. But for me, I was like, I get it's going to be hard, but I'd rather be clear on what the truth is for myself and my journey. So anyway, don't worry about that. It's okay, Girl Trader. And, hopefully you come to these conversations and you'll get some, value here too, I hope. All right. Tom Wolf says, I'm saying things to AI I've never said out before. Well, that's the beauty, baby, good side of AI. That's well said, Gogeta says. Good. I'm glad. I don't know what it was I said, but I'm sorry. It was probably, you wrote it a few minutes ago. All right. Oh my God, I thrashed myself when I failed to meet my own expectations. So many traders do, Whiz Bang. You got a lot of company. And I used to do that too. I'm not saying I never do it, but here's another book for you, Gogeta. Taming Your Gremlin. Get that book, Whiz Bang Trader, because that is going to teach you how to get the inner saboteur that's hijacked your head out, right? We all have inner saboteurs, inner gremlins. You guys also, Whizbang, watch my interview on my podcast with Rick Carson. He's the author of Taming Your Gremlin, and his book is a master class in how to recognize that internal voice that makes us feel like garbage. That I've read that book 20 times, guys. And in that interview with the author of that book, Rick Carson, you're gonna see him notice me and one of my gremlins. Going into the interview, having read the book now for the 21st time to prepare for the conversation. And I'm in that conversation with him, and I'm so excited to say, "Hey, reading your book recently, I identified another gremlin that I have. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Thank God I read it again." And I'm about to kind of like share that with him when he is like, "Kim, did you hear that gremlin?" I was like, "Which one?" Like, he saw another one, and I was great on my own podcast. I'm getting another gremlin identified. It was so embarrassing, but it was perfect because I was like, great, people watching this, you're gonna see. Like, I've done tons of therapy on myself, guys, tons of coaching. I've worked with spiritual teachers. I've done work with a shaman. I've taken shamanistic training. Like, you name it, I've done it. And I still have work to do. If we're 6 feet above ground, guys, we got work to do. So just do the work and notice, oh, yeah, I'm hard on myself. Wonder what that's about. Don't judge it. Don't get mad at yourself. You got to beat yourself up for beating yourself up. What good is that going to do? Right. So I want you guys to start to just notice. That's part of what Rick says in his book over and over and over again. Simply notice. I told you guys about that client of mine who got a tattooed on his arm. Simply notice. He got it tattooed on his arm so he doesn't forget. Put it on a post-it or get a tattoo. But keep noticing. Try to look at yourself without judgment. Try to look with neutrality. Don't be so hard on yourself, even if you are hard on yourself. All right, hope that makes sense. Girl Trader, I will certainly take it slow. It's going to be tough emotionally. I push a lot of deep down. Welcome to being a person, Girl Trader. We've all pushed it all down. The culture we've all lived in, the society we live in teaches us to, right? You've been brainwashed to push it down. I've been brainwashed to push it down. We alcohol would not be a product, guys, if we weren't taught to push it down. Pot wouldn't be so successful if we weren't taught to push it down. Hi, I'm like 5 more minutes. Okay. Hi. Um, I have friends stopping by, so I have to end this. Um, all of the things we do to numb is what we do because we have pushed so much down. So keep that in mind. All right. Uh, Abdul, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. I've saw a lot of new faces today I've never seen. What is my penance? Mow the lawn. Yes, was big trader. That is your penance. Go mow that lawn. Go mow a lawn of some little old lady who's not able to do it for herself anymore and can't afford to hire a guy. You know what that will do? That'll give you a 2 for 1. Not only will you get to mow lawn, but you're going to get the incredible juju of being a contribution to somebody else. Have you guys? I have a newsletter. Oh, and if you guys haven't signed up for my newsletter, see, I just go right into this work, and I don't remember. I get yelled at by my team all the time that I don't, put enough stuff out there about me and where you can find me. So let me put this up. What do I want to put up here? Here. So this is how you can sign up for my newsletter. If you don't get Curtain Call, please sign up for it. It's a play on my last name. Curtain is spelled without an A. So sign up for Curtain Call. I'm sending out a newsletter. Sign up quick today, right now, if you can, because the newsletter is going to go out tomorrow. And in it, this is what I want to speak to is there's a guy, I give you a link to this guy who basically at red lights gives compliments to people and then just drives off. Like, he's not looking for anything. He's not hitting on anybody. You know, I'm sure like some other women are pretty, but like he's truly just trying to be a contribution. And there, we can get nourished by doing that. So that's my suggestion to you, Whizbang, is go be a contribution to somebody. And then not only we get the EMDR effect, but you'll also get that sense of being a contribution. My guess is that most, if not all, of the traders you work with are A-type, highly intelligent overachievers, individuals that are not accustomed to failure. How do you counsel these personalities? I don't counsel them. I teach them to start to accept and, dare I say it, love themselves just as is, not wait until, they get their ducks in a row. Like, all this is about, guys, for all of us on the journey, when we're intelligent or we're high achievers, like, we're just all looking for feeling like we're enough. That's it. But guess what? You're enough. Right now, with all your traumas, with all your fuck ups, with all your mistakes, you're enough right now. If you guys do nothing else, if you don't read any of these damn books, if you don't ever do coaching, therapy, or personal development, if you just get that truth that you are enough right now, my work is done. So yeah, just remember, we're all just doing the best we can with what we've got, what we've lived through, what we come from. Cut yourselves a bit of a break, okay? Just a little. Start to see that you are doing what you can every day, the best you can. And if there's things you see are costly and you want it to change, try to meet that with understanding and curiosity, not with judgment, not with demoralizing yourself or shaming yourself. It never works. It just doesn't, not for the long term. All right. Again, I'm going to thank Centerpoint for being such a great sponsor of this podcast. I'm going to put their link in this restream, and then I'm going to go hang out with my friends. I'm so excited to see them. I didn't know they were coming, so that was a surprise. That's Centerpoint. If you don't have Centerpoint or you're curious to learn more, reach out to them. Ask me for an introduction. They're incredible people. I want you to check them out because I think they're the broker you should be working with. All right. I love you guys all. This is a huge room today. Gosh, now we're at 175. Who's going to be on the Roaring Kitty live stream tomorrow? I've already subscribed. I'm so excited to see how that goes. Before I started this, guys, let's see. Is it up still? Let's see. I think, what did he, right before I started this today, he had over, what was it? Let's see how many people are signed up for his live stream. I was thinking of our live stream. Yeah, he's got 12,000. Before, I think it was, what did I say at the beginning of December? Remember, I think I said 10,000. Now he's 12,500 people subscribed, waiting for his live streams happening 12 noon tomorrow. I love you guys. You're awesome. Thank you for such great questions. Contemplate, whoever's here, if you want the one-on-one coaching next week. I'm going to take in a couple of volunteers, do some speed coaching. And if you want to volunteer, send me a DM on Twitter or sign up for my newsletter and email me. Okay, take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to other people. Be careful in your trading. And, put your seatbelts on because it looks like Roaring Kitty's got a few more memes to share. Okay, be well, guys.